Supporting wellbeing is really important because it means that we can attract and retain the best talent. So it makes business sense to actually keep wellbeing and put wellbeing at the top of the agenda. As you say, when organisations might be finding things harder, as you say, wellbeing can kind of drop down the agenda, but actually that doesn't make sense because your people are your most valuable asset. One of the initiatives that we've implemented over the last year has been our virtual GP service.
So, welcome. We are joined by the lovely Amanda Hammond, the Wellbeing Lead at Fujitsu. We are here to discuss creating the perfect wellness plan and the perfect wellness initiatives for a company. And we have the pleasure to pick her brains today to understand some of the things that are successful, some of the things that are working within companies, and perhaps maybe even some of the things that aren't working so well. So, firstly, welcome, Amanda.
Hi, Tyler. Thank you for having me. It's lovely to be here.
And thank you for coming. So we've worked together for a number of years, but I guess for those that don't know you and that are watching this, can you just explain a little bit about your role, what your actual role is, and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So my role is the UK Wellbeing Lead at Fujitsu, which is an IT company, a global IT company, and my role is to support the well-being of around 6,500 people in our UK organisation.
So a big responsibility because lots of people to take care of. Now, what motivates Fujitsu to look after their employees? Not all companies have a focus on supporting employee well-being. So, what makes it important for Fujitsu and you to support the employees there?
I think there's a few reasons really. I think supporting wellbeing is really important because it means that we can attract and retain the best talent. So it makes business sense to actually keep wellbeing and put wellbeing at the top of the agenda. But I think also more than that, it's because it's the right thing to do. And I think as an organisation, we genuinely care about our people. So it means that we want to support the well-being of all of our people. It's both of those reasons really.
Yeah, I love that. It's the right thing to do. And I think with companies now, so many companies are focused solely on profits, and sometimes employee well-being can be put to the back burner, which of course is not ideal and not good, and can have a negative impact. Like you spoken about employee retention, morale, productivity, all of those things. Um, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I think, you can, as you say, when organizations might be finding things harder, as you say, well-being can kind of drop down the agenda, but actually that doesn't make sense because your people are your most valuable asset. So, if you're looking after your people, they're going to be more productive, they're going to be achieving more, and then that's going to ultimately support the success of your organization.
Yeah. What would you say to some companies who are so data driven? Because I know that, delivering well-being services, sometimes you don't always have the data to back up the successfulness of certain programs or initiatives. What would you say to companies that are solely driven by data in order to implement well-being initiatives?
I think data is super important, and we are quite data driven at Fujitsu. So we've actually put together something called a wellbeing dashboard, and that consists of data from all different areas, such as we look at things like absence data, attrition data, data from our employee assistance program, data from our engagement survey, and we bring all of that together, and then it really helps to shape our wellbeing strategy. So we will look at, for example, what's the reason for the reason for the highest absence levels, for example, or the longest lengths of absence, and what's our EAP data telling us? Why are people calling the employee assistance program? And we'll look at all of that, and it helps to really shape our strategy because we can then focus on the things that we need to focus on, rather than, sometimes you can come up with all of these lovely wellbeing ideas, and there's so much that you can implement as an organization, but actually you really want to be focusing on the things that are going to make a difference. So having a data-led approach is really important.
Amazing, amazing. So over the years, I know that you've implemented lots of different wellbeing initiatives. Can you just maybe highlight a few of the successful initiatives that have worked well?
Yeah, goodness, we've done so much over the last few years. So some of the things that we've done are, we have so I've we've implemented a wellbeing community of wellbeing champions, which has been fantastic because that's a group of volunteers, really passionate people who really want to support wellbeing, and it's a group of people that have come together, and they come up with some fantastic ideas and help to drive things throughout the organisation. So having the wellbeing community in place has been a great foundation. And then we've done things like, we have done some sort of on-site initiatives. So we've done things like on-site health checks for people, on-site chair massages for people. We've done things such as webinars on all sorts of different topics, mental wellbeing topics, you all sorts of really interesting things that where people can learn and take sort of practical takeaways from them. This year we've implemented an app for employees to support both physical and mental well-being, so it tracks steps and people get rewarded for creating healthy habits, and that's been really successful. We've had really great engagement with that, and then we've also done some things to support men and women's health in particular. So, for example, we have some of our employees have set up a Men Talk group, which is a group where men meet on a monthly basis to talk about different topics. And we've also done a lot in terms of women's health, so specifically in relation to menopause. So menopause awareness, and providing support to employees as well. So yeah, we've done a real kind of a variety of different things, because I think with well-being, it's not a one size fits all. I don't think you can have sort of just a number of initiatives, and I think people, what depending on where people are in their lives, and their needs, I think depends on what people want in terms of well-being. So for example, a younger employee who has just joined might want very different things to somebody who's nearing retirement, for example. So it's important to have kind of different support available for different people.
Amazing. So yeah, lots of different initiatives. I mean, you've mentioned loads of initiatives there, which all sound fantastic. In fact, the chair massage, great one. Of course, I'm an advocate for that, being that we've supported you and continue to support some of your offices with our chair massage therapists. But what would you say to the companies that don't necessarily have a budget or aren't putting money towards a budget to focus on this? What are some of the easier things that don't cost? You mentioned wellbeing champions and the men's and women's groups there. Can you elaborate on some of the more cost efficient initiatives?
Yeah, and a lot of what we do at Fujitsu is employee led. So we have as I say, a wellbeing community, and we also have other communities such as our Pride community, our Women's Business Network. And the great thing is, when all of the communities come together and work together, they can achieve really amazing things. So we will find that a lot of the webinars we run on wellbeing topics are internal webinars. So we're not necessarily paying lots of money for guest speakers or external people to run sessions for us. We'll run sessions internally. So on mental wellbeing topics, for example, we'll have people share their personal stories of how they've experienced different challenges, or the different things that different people have been through. And we find that always gets a really, really positive response. And people can relate to their colleagues sharing these things, and it just helps to create that really open environment. So and these things don't cost any money. So if
Yeah.
you've got passionate people who want to get involved and share and help colleagues, that's amazing. There's so much that you can do.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And people typically, they want to get involved in these initiatives. Certainly through my experiences, I've found that, but I'd imagine similar with yours.
Yeah, definitely. And it was funny because when we went out to set up our wellbeing community and ask for volunteers, we were inundated. So many people wanted to get involved, and we often find that if we want to run a session on a particular topic, and we'll go out and ask for volunteers, more often than not, we'll get people that are really willing to help out. And it's just fantastic. I think it really shows that, well-being is important to everybody.
Mhm.
So, getting those volunteers is great, and it means that you don't need a huge well-being team or well-being function, because a lot of what you do, if it's employee led, it can actually have a bigger impact as well.
Yeah, amazing. So what about the companies with the budget to be able to invest? What initiatives have worked well that you've actually paid for, and what are the benefits of, hiring professionals to deliver these services?
So I think some of the things that have worked really well for us. I think one of the initiatives that we've implemented over the last year has been our virtual GP service, and I think particularly at the moment with people struggling to get GP appointments on the NHS, having a service where people can access a GP 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for themselves and their families. That's just had such a huge impact, and we've had amazing feedback about it. But obviously, there is a cost involved to implementing something like that. So I think it's about for companies with a budget, amazing. But I think again, focus that budget on things that really make a difference to people, because it is a bit of a minefield out there. I think I'm inundated with messages every day from wellbeing suppliers trying to contact me to sell their offerings, and which is fantastic. But I think you can you can just get lost, and I think you can get caught up in it all. And actually, I think go back to your strategy, go back to your data, take that data-led approach, and have a look at what it is that is actually going to make a difference.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, we've worked together for a number of years now. Can you maybe tell some of the viewers how Loving Life have helped Fujitsu support their employee well-being?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, as you say, we've worked together for a while now. And initially, I think it was during COVID, and we'd moved to a virtual way of working, and we wanted to support our employees it was around physical well-being. So we wanted to make sure that employees had the correct desk set up at home, that they were taking regular breaks, that they were really looking after their own well-being in a remote environment. So yeah, Loving Life ran some webinars for us, which were fantastic. We had some really great feedback about how practical they were and how useful, but also the fact that the webinars were really good fun as well. So they were short, bite-sized sessions, so people didn't need to take a huge chunk out of their day, and they took away some really practical advice, which was great. And we also ran during that period as well some midweek motivation sessions, which were again just to try and give people a bit of a boost in the middle of the week, when kind of energy levels were starting to flag. And again, we were conscious that people were working remotely, and it can end up that you're on back-to-back Teams and Zoom calls. So we wanted to kind of give people a bit of a break, a bit of a kind of energy boost. And yeah, again, we had some really great feedback that the sessions were really fun, really interactive, and they really just gave people that energy boost in the middle of the week, which was great.
Great. Well, that's always lovely to hear, and I'm pleased that it had such a positive impact. So, over your time in employee well-being, are there any key lessons that you would that you can say you've learned over the years?
I think probably going back to a couple of the things that I've mentioned, so I think um, one of the lessons is that you can't have a one size fits all approach. So, as a wellbeing lead, I can come up with, lots of ideas about things that we could do, but actually, are those things going to meet the needs of your employees? And, are you providing enough different initiatives or support methods that are going to, um, you know, that people are going to want? And as I say, you've just think about the employees that you've got and think about what's going to work for them. And I guess, that sort of leads on to the fact that it's really important to engage and ask people. So rather than just sort of putting together a strategy and putting together plans that you think are amazing, actually go out and ask for feedback. Is this going to work? Are these the sorts of things that are going to make a difference to people? So I think having getting people involved and helping to shape your wellbeing strategy is really, really important. So I think, yeah, so not a one size fits all approach, and getting employees involved. And I
Y-
think that's really important in terms of in the impact that you can have. I think, getting employees involved is really,
Yeah.
really important.
You mentioned, getting employees involved, getting feedback. What are some of the ways that you do that? Is that through simple surveys, different types of software?
Yeah, so we have an engagement survey twice a year, every 6 months, and we have specific wellbeing questions within that survey. So we will take the feedback from that, which is really, really important. But then that's also how we use our wellbeing community. So we've got our wellbeing champions. We've got about 30 across the UK, and we almost use our wellbeing champions as a focus group in a way. So I will go to them with ideas and thoughts about things that we can do. I'll kind of test it with the champions and say, what do you think? They'll give some really great constructive feedback, and also vice versa. They will come up with ideas and things that I might not have thought of, and we use it as a real kind of two-way communication channel, and it's super, super helpful. And then other things that we will do is we'll kind of run regular pulse surveys, and we'll run sort of mini polls or mini sort of questionnaires when we've run a wellbeing initiative to get feedback as well, specifically on the things that we're running. And yeah, try and use all of that data
Yeah.
to shape your approach again. So it goes back to the data-led approach.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Well, thank you for your time. I'm sure you've given lots of people some great insights, some great nuggets to take away and actually apply to their well-being strategies. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we, call it a day?
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, thank you for having me, Tyler. It's been really great to be able to kind of share some of the knowledge that I've got. But yeah, I think I've probably covered everything. So thank you.
Thanks for being here. Now, at Loving Life, we deliver employee well-being services to help companies support the health and well-being of their employees. For more information, check out our website or get in touch.